In this episode, I'll be talking about the movie Panchali. It's a movie which was directed by Satyajit Ray and it came out in 1955. This is a Bengali movie which has been popular throughout the world and pretty much I think this is a movie which has been the flag bearer of Indian cinema for many years. Satyajit Ray was the founding member of the Calcutta Film Society, and during that time, he had helped the French director Jean Renoir to scout some locations in the countryside, and that's when he had actually told Jean Renoir about how he plans to make this movie called as Panchali, and he was really very influenced by the Italian neorealism, and that's when Jean Renoir told him that he could do it and that he encouraged him to proceed with it. And in 1950, Ray was working for this particular firm who had sent him to London to work for them from London. And during his stay in London, he saw like lots of movies. He saw like hundreds of movies about the Western way of movie making, and he was really very inspired by the neorealist film Bicycle Thieves. And after watching this movie is when he realized that he could make movies in Indian cinema, which was going to be more realistic, which was going to be in the genre of neo-realism, and that he could do it with a very amateur cast as well, and that's what encouraged him to pursue with Pattar Panchali. Pattar Panchali is a movie which was produced by the government of West Bengal. It is a movie which was based on the Vibhuti Bhushan Bandyopadhyay novel. Filming of the same Panchali was not a very easy task because there's a lot of problem in the way. The funding was very limited and there are a lot of interruptions with the funding, and it took almost 3 years for the movie to be completely made, and the film was shot mostly in very limited locations and some limited budget, and the actors were pretty not that experienced, and the crew was as well not very experienced. The movie the movie soundtrack was actually composed by none other than the great Sri Ravi Shankar Panditji, and he composed a soundtrack with the soundtrack of the movie is like really very nice. It's so soothing, and it's the pure classical songs that you could ever hear, and that really adds to the poignance or the serenity of the movie. And the cinematography of the movie is again very amazing. It's pretty like you cannot really imagine at that 1955 in Indian cinema you could find such quality cinematography. And the most surprising fact about that is that cinematographer of this movie is Subrata Mitra, and it was his first movie as a cinematographer. So to just think about the fact that this was his first movie and he did such a great job, pretty much ended up doing a masterpiece is really commendable. In fact, it's no matter how much you say, it's a very under appreciation for the amount of greatness that he has brought to this movie. The cast of this movie are Hariya Roy played by Kanu Banerjee, Sarbajaya Roy played by Karuna Banerjee, Apurva Roy played by Subir Banerjee, Durga Roy played by Runki Banerjee, Durga Rai as a teenager played by Homa Das Gupta, Indir Thakroon, the old aunt played by Chuni Bala Devi, Prasanna, the school teacher played by Tulsi Chakraborty, Chini Bas played by. Now to the story of the movie. Actually, Pattar Panchali is a part of a trilogy. So this is the first movie of the trilogy, and the trilogy is based around this character called Appu, who's a young boy. Well, he's a young boy in Pattar Panchali. So Pattar Panchali, he's the story of his childhood, and it kind of gives an introduction towards this character called Appu. So it is a story which is set in one of the Indian villages in the part of Western Bengal, and he comes from this very poor family. Apu is from a very poor family. He has his father, who is a poet, who is a priest, and he's a man who's educated and who thinks that he's not someone who's going to be doing any kind of physical toil, and his mother is she's a very practical lady, and who understands that she doesn't care about what are the how educated you are, how scholarly you are. All that matters to her is that am I able to put food on the plate of the kids, or am I able to provide for them? Am I able to give them the health and the education that they need? So, and Apu has a elder sister by name Durga. So, Durga is this girl who is pretty cheerful and mischievous and just goes around having, just stealing fruits from the orchards and yeah, helping a pretty very old aunt that stays along with them. So, for which she really receives a lot of scoldings from her mother as well. So Apu is this guy who's really loved from by all of them because he's the youngest, and the mother is a very doting mother, and the sister also showers him with a lot of love, and they tease each other, they make fun the of each story other. Basically revolves around their day-to-day lives and the struggles of their day-to-day lives, and the story really takes a turn when the father of Apu and Durga, actually he disappears, like he's just gone for like some 5 months, and the mother is left to fend for herself, and she has to provide for them and she has to take care of them, and meanwhile Durga ends up playing in this rain and celebrate, just being happy, but only to a very tragic end, that she ends up getting this very bad viral fever, and as a result of which she succumbs to the fever. And when the father returns back to the mother, after 5 months, with all the possessions that he has gathered over the 5 months and just cheerfully trying to share it with the family, the mother is just not able to you know just be happy about it. She just falls to his feet and starts crying about what has happened, and the father is left dejected, and he senses that he has lost his daughter, and they just abandon their ancestral home and they just go to a different city. This is the this pretty much the whole story of the movie, and what happens in these 2 hours is you just get a glimpse into the lives of these people in a very, I don't know, in a very close up way. It's not just the life of these people, it's the life of many Indians, many people who have lived in this country, and this has been the life of many people even now in this country. Poverty has always been a major problem here, so you usually see people migrating to different places in search of money, in search of livelihood, and in their journey there's a lot of hardships that they have to endure, but still try to maintain the familiar love, and that's what this movie tries to show. It's not trying to it just shows everything that's true about Indian families. This is not any kind of a glamorized version, this is the truth, as painful as it could be. And the mother character is something we can, as an Indian myself, I think I can definitely resonate with the mother's character, because every mom is always trying to make the ends meet, no matter how less money you have at home. She's just trying to make sure, I will sell my possessions, I will sell whatever I have, I'm gonna get the food on the plate. And father has always been a very ambitious figure, but doesn't mean he doesn't care for the child. He's just trying to give them a better life, and this is the true story of many houses in this country, and that's exactly what Satyajit Ray is trying to portray in this movie. He doesn't want to add any unnecessary you know touches to it. He just wants to say it the way it is. He's just calling the spade, and that's what this movie is all about. Because of the sheer poverty that's been portrayed in this movie, Satyajit Ray received a lot of backlash as well. So he received a lot of backlash by the people of this country, by the people of India itself, and that is, many people said that he's representing India on a world platform in a very bad way, and the only reason the world has embraced this movie is because they see India in a very abject manner, in a very poor state. But the fact is, how bitter it might be, it's the truth. And I don't think this movie receives any kind of backlash that it has been receiving, and or any kind of criticism that has been bestowed on Satyajit Ray for showing the truth or the reality. We have to embrace it no matter what it is, unless we realize that, yeah, there's a hole in this whole system, or we will never be able to address it unless you realize, yes, this is the problem with this country. We have poverty, and we have very unequal distribution of wealth, and people suffer, die because of lack of uh, lack of resources, lack of proximity towards medicine or anything, and it's the truth. So just because you don't want to hide this and to camouflage this, by glamour and glitz and I don't know, everything that seems more appealing is a crime, according to me. It's a crime of disguising things when they shouldn't really be. And Satyajit has been always been a very outspoken person with regard to the kind of reception his movies receive, and his movies receive very bad criticism or backlash. He's always been say he you can see him saying in most of his interviews that that the Indian audience are pretty unsophisticated, or the Indian audience are not very, they're more commercially driven towards what is being served to them in the Bollywood. So they're not really very ready for the movies which speak the truth. So I think they are now the Indian audience are really becoming more diverse, and because of access to different kinds of movies and mediums, people are really trying to understand, okay, the thing that they have been serving us by putting a lot of makeup and dances and glitzers is not really what we need. What we need is true stories. What we need is not just pipe dreams. And that's something which I have experienced and that people are really waking up to now. But Satyajit Ray is one who really thought people should wake up to it long before, and he made an effort in that direction. In the year 1955, that's when his journey began, and that was his first movie ever. So watch this movie just to understand what it is to have lived in an Indian family, what it is to live a life stricken with poverty. And this movie is not completely sad or just hopeless. This movie is a story about hope. This movie is a story about saying no matter how much of poverty you are really under, you can still be maybe happy, if you have love. So this is a movie about the story of the love of the brother and the sister, the husband and wife, the father and children, mother and children, and everything. It's a movie about great familial values, and every time as an Indian you watch these movies, you feel very nostalgic because you hear the stories being told to you by your parents who say they have gone through these severe hardships in their life, and you're able to relate with this. And yeah, this if anyone out there who wants to see the true India that it was in those times, or the true India, you want to get a taste of the true India that it is, you should really watch this movie. But this is a very accurate version, according to me, because I don't see anything that's exaggerated or far-fetched in this movie. Like for In this episode, I'll be talking about the movie Panchali.